just a couple of seconds. We are live on YouTube. All right, please go ahead, Nandakishore.
A very good morning, guys, and hope you're doing safe and good during the pandemic. And as for students who have registered for the conclave, you may have known that you have given questions which will be asked to the mentors via this Ask Me Anything session. So feel free to put any questions on the chat. So we'll try to answer it via asking to the mentors. So starting with, we have already a palette of questions which have been collected from the data which we have received from you. So starting with, it's a general question to all mentors. Staying at home doesn't motivate to do something, to write an essay or do projects along with the daily college classes and academic stuff. It's kind of boring. So, how could we boost ourselves to motivate to work hard and complete the deadlines for the application?
Um, okay, so maybe I can go first. Hi, everyone. I'm Shreya, one of some JSPF mentors for this year. I think it's a question that honestly we are all struggling with as well. It's not just unique to someone who's in college right now. Even though we're working or we're studying further, we're doing different things, but all of us are struggling with that same issue right now. Something that's kind of worked for me is to maintain a similar routine to what I would otherwise. I'm sure you've heard this, guys. It probably sounds very generic, but I think it really goes a long way in fixing some kind of schedule for your day. Like if I was actually going to work, I would wake up at a certain time, and I'd take my shower in the morning and not somewhere in the afternoon after you generally, because you're at home anyway. So it might seem like these are things you don't need to do, but if I'm going to work, I try to follow a similar routine, have my meals on time and things of that sort, and that kind of helps put you in the zone.
Yeah,
Well,
great. So, yeah, go.
yeah, Shreya, that was a really great answer. I just had this small addition to make that for me, having enough social interaction really helps boost my motivation, because otherwise, if like when you're at home, you just see the same people all the time and you just don't get the mood to work. So, I mean, really keeping up the social interaction in whatever way possible is really nice. That's it.
Yeah.
So, going to the next question. Uh, Irrespective of the domain of interest, what skills are valued most in the industry for the project and essay making?
I
Uh,
didn't really catch that. I'm sorry. What's
Uh,
okay, I'll repeat again. Irrespective of the domain of interest, what skills are valued most in the industry, and how it will help to write the essays and do the abstracts in a more like useful way.
Maybe I can answer that. Okay, sure. You first, me second.
Yeah, sure, sure. um, just in terms of something that we are not actually taught in our universities or schools, I feel just communication in general is such a big skill to have. It's something like that you can just develop over time. So it's not only communicating verbally, but just communicating through your essays or any written parts or presentations as well. So I feel that is something that personally I had to work on a lot, because nobody actually teaches you that. You just have to like go into the field and learn it. Yeah, so I feel, yeah, communication and different forms of communication, verbally or graphically, or through written content, is very important.
Yeah, no, I'd like to completely back up Vishwesh on that. That was going to be my answer as well. Basically, verbal as well as written communication is extremely important no matter what domain your job is. It could be sales, it could be marketing, you could be a scientist or a researcher or a mathematician. Whatever domain you work in these days, you need to be able to communicate your thoughts most effectively. So that is by default the most important thing that I've come across. I think the second would be communicating with empathy, right? We can bluntly say our thoughts very easily in an email, and people may or may not take it well. It's very important to understand how the certain way you're communicating a certain idea or thought will be taken by the other people, and customizing your communication based on who the audience is. I found that that's oftentimes the main reason why a lot of projects generally fail, because the person initiating the idea doesn't understand where the other team members are coming from. So communicating with empathy, I would say, is the second most crucial skill.
I think another useful skill might be to learn to be self-critical as well, how to look at your own work in a detached sense so you can find out what the limitations are, and as they say, to be able to communicate it to your team properly. So someone else could maybe back it up and solve the problem for you. So even when you're doing your project, do take out some time to see what the limitations are. That always helps.
It was really nice to hear on different perspectives of communication, where like people from different career paths. So we'll move to the next question. So yeah, so there is a question regarding the project. Could you share the process to how to get an internship, from the reason for applying to mailing the organization to what you have gained it? Like they are basically asking the way to gain an internship to secure a project and do the abstract, or to learn more about the scholarship process.
Okay, I can probably share a quick insight about how to get into, because I recently was job hunting and I got a new job about 7 months back during the pandemic. So I would say the key skill over here is to be persistent, because so number one is you need to try to form a strong connect with the company that you're applying to for the internship. So that whether that means reaching out through NITT alumni, through people inside your networks, through networking on LinkedIn, through directly trying to, if it's a small startup, trying to directly reach out to the founders or the co-founders or team members within the teams that you're interested in. I think that extra effort you need to take right now is extremely important, because it helps the teams to see the sort of interest and interest you have. And I'd always say, try to think of what you can do for the company, what specific skills you can contribute that will help the company, and being very proactive in the in reaching out to the relevant people within those firms.
Okay, so
Uh,
Dhruv gave a really nice one about industry, but if you want a research project as an internship or as an institute, for instance, yeah, some things are just like what Dhruv said. You need to be very persistent and proactive. But specifically for universities, it helps if you look up profiles of professors who work on the areas that you want to work in, see if their interests match yours, and then maybe send them an email saying, you're so and so, a student from NIT Trichy, and just be very clear to them about what you want from the project and what you expect from them. Yeah, email works really well. All right.
I think we could move to the next one.
Yeah.
Nafisa?
yeah, sure. Like the next one is a common question. Like the student is asking for a short, brief introduction about the scholarship process, like the different checkpoints and the requirements of it.
Mhm. Right. Um, okay, so I think this one can probably cover a few of the basic points, but the best resource for you to learn more about the scholarship is the website. So if you go into the website and you will see the entire application process, you will see the important deadlines. The most important deadline is the upcoming mid-year checkpoint. You will see what the requirements are to contest the project, all of the different things in a detailed list. They've posted the website link on the chat as well. That's where you can access this. If you have more specific questions about one particular aspect of the application after you've taken a look at that, you can ask us today. Or you can also join one of our mentor office hours that all of us conduct every weekend. So every weekend, one of us does an office hour. So we'll be able to talk to you in a lot more depth and a lot more sort of one-on-one basis where we'll be able to see you as well. Uh, yeah, I think that covers it. But if any of you want to add something,
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I would urge all the students to ask any sort of questions or doubts they have in the ID provided in the website, because especially at this stage there's no right or wrong question. So it's just definitely ask anything that you have in your mind, and don't just like dismiss any questions or doubts that you have. So just go up to the website, have a thorough read through it, and just look at the ID that is mentioned for any further questions. And please do send your questions across.
I guess we can move on.
So, moving on to the next question. How do we prepare for GRE and other competitive exams for getting admission and for getting admits abroad in different universities or applying for certain jobs which are pertinent to certain exams? So, how could we prepare for that?
Should I go first? All right. So the GRE mainly has three parts, which is writing. One is verbal aptitude, which is language, basically English language knowledge, and the third one is math. The math part should be easy enough for you. For us, in people with an engineering background, it's mostly things that we've learned in school or in the first year in college. So that's something that'll be quite manageable for you. The other two sections are generally more challenging. So for the writing part, it's very important that you get into a habit of writing as soon as possible. Just any kind of writing, just uh, get comfortable with writing log answers and typing fast as well. That should really help. And generally for the process, so when I gave my GRE in my third year, I didn't want to put it to the final year, just in case something didn't work out and I didn't want to run out of time. So I gave it in my third year, which I think was a nice idea if you want to do that as well. And I didn't go for any classes or etc., but I used the Barron's GRE book, which was really helpful. So you might want to try that book because it's very proactive, gives a lot of tips, and just follow that. And for verbal aptitude, you need to, so it includes a lot of difficult words that we don't always use in our daily lives. So yeah, be careful with that. Try to find an app or something that helps you prepare for those words, because that part can be challenging for a lot of people. So really focus on the verbal aptitude part. That's for me.
Just one thing that I would add to that, I think that was a pretty comprehensive answer, is that I took the GRE when I was working full time, which was sometime last year. So, and post that, one thing that I can tell you guys is that if you're planning to take any of the competitive exams, get it done in college. Like, just be done with it in college. You just have so much free time in college compared to how it's going to be once you start working. But that being said, because it lasts for 5 years, the exam score, it has a validity of 5 years, so you can very well take it early. But that being said, if you are sort of in a similar position, what really helped me is YouTube in general. I didn't go for any classes either, but I would just watch like these 10-15 minute videos on YouTube about the GRE when, like, I was commuting to work or in like small breaks. That's something that helped me a lot. Also, I ended up taking the GRE for applying for an MBA program. So that's another thing to remember as well. Something I wasn't aware of in college, because I thought if you're doing a management degree, you have to take the GMAT, but that's not true. Most places also accept the GRE. So it's about which exam you think you would perform better at. So you can take a mock exam of both GRE and the GMAT and see which one you're doing better at, and then decide what fits your needs better. So that's sort of my 2 cents on it. Maybe Dhruv, if you want to add something about the GMAT, if you did, you take it?
Yeah. So I took the GRE when I was in college, and I took the GMAT about 2 years ago. So I have a good
Perfect.
sort of perspective of both. Just adding to what Ashwini and Shreya said, a couple of things. One is, I mean, completely agree that you should take it during college, and about, I think, roughly 25 to 30% of your seniors would probably have taken the GRE by the time that they graduate. So please don't buy any new material, new books. Your seniors will definitely have it. They'll give it to you either for free or at a extremely discounted price. So one is always go to them for material. For GRE, there's a lot of words you need to memorize. And there's a fantastic app called Anki. It's a flashcard app. I don't know if you guys know what flashcards are. So basically, when you want to memorize certain facts or certain words or numbers, you have cards so that you can keep scrolling and reading each day. There's an app called Anki Droid that allows you to download tens of thousands of strong GRE words that you can keep practicing. So do try that. The third thing I would say is that this GRE and GMAT is it's not a test of your mathematical and verbal abilities. At least that's what I found. Because I felt I was pretty strong in both my math and verbal skills. For the first few times I took the exams, I got a really poor score. And the only thing that helped me improve this is practice. At one point, my score was so low, I got a 70th percentile in the GMAT. And the only thing that helped me push it to a 95th percentile was solving at least 50 to 60 sums a day. Like not every day, like I would generally practice only on the weekends and 1 or 2 on the weekdays. But practice as much as you can with more like sampled sums and mock sums. That more than anything else is an indication of how well you will do in your final exam. But yeah, Nandakishore, we can...
like, can you move to the next question?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Okay. So the next question is, as students are staying at home due to the pandemic and they are listening to online lectures and all, so they don't have a complete perspective of happenings in the campus. So they're not sure about how to decide a problem statement for the society essay and the community essay. Like there is a gap between like the real perspective of being in a campus and being online and learning everything about campus via seniors and stuff. So how can they manage to choose a problem statement which is related to society essay and community essay?
I think great question, Himanshu. That's the question you're referring to, right? The one on the chat.
Yeah.
I'm not too clear on society versus community essay. So just my 2 cents on this, and then I'll kind of pass it on. So the society essay remains largely the same, right? It's still about a general society problem. It could be something that's specific to the post-pandemic world. It need not be. So that really largely remains the same because society is your outside of NIT world. So there's not too much of a difference there. But in terms of the community, it's something that you would focus on a problem in campus. And since you haven't even been to campus yet, I can understand how that. But you don't need to limit yourself to physical problems on campus. I feel, in fact, there are a whole.
Shreya, I think
you got muted. Yeah.
The whole thing, or like midway?
No, just the sentence, the last sentence you said.
Yeah, just midway.
No, it was last sentence. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. No, so I was saying that you don't have to limit yourself to physical problems on campus because the fact that you move to an online environment comes with its own whole host of challenges, right? And that could be something that you speak about in your community essay as well. For example, you might be using a certain platform for online classes, but you feel it can be made better by using something else that you read about. Or maybe, how do you build social sort of relationships with your classmates in an online setting? So these are just like ideas that I'm randomly saying, but there could be a million things that you guys know uniquely because of your experience of attending classes in an online setting and trying to make friends, trying to find internships, trying to find projects. So these are all ideas that you could talk about in that essay.
One quick point of view here is that for your society essay, just open the second last page of your newspaper, the one that has all the editorials, because that's exactly what the society essay talks about. And in the larger world, what is happening? What are your perspectives on it? What could be better? What is going bad? Right. So just start reading that second last paper called the editorial section of a newspaper. That will give you a ton of ideas on what are the most trending, most important, most debated issues in the world right now. And exactly as Shreya said, for the community essay, I think the challenges that you guys are facing this year are far, far bigger than what we have been facing over the last so many years. Right? I mean, generally, what are the problems? Like there's water shortage, electricity, mess food is not good, which are like, I think more like more minor problems compared to completely going like online classes right now, not being able to meet your batchmates, not being able to ask doubts from professors. Your academic journey is being affected because of that. That's what college is really about, which is being hampered because of the pandemic. So I think you guys have a lot of strong, relevant and important problems to work on this year. They may not sound as exciting as maybe like solving a water shortage or electricity crisis, but it's something definitely that that would be worth solving, basically, if you guys give it a good thought and see how it could be improved.
So just one more thing I would like to add on to that is, if you are just a little confused regarding, especially for your community essay, because it's related to things that are happening in college, you can just maybe look at good examples of precedents online. For example, if you're if you're looking at something related to maybe student accommodation and housing, look at the best student accommodations and housing around the world, for universities, for colleges, and maybe just compare what you're trying to tackle in your essay. Just that will just help you to maybe have a clear idea of what's good and what can be improved. So just maybe if you're not able to get the exact what is it solution, or the way in which you want to tackle your essay, a good way is to just look at the best possible outcomes around the world or in India, just to get an idea of what direction you want to take. Yeah, I think we can move to the next question.
Yeah, sure. I'll move to the next question. Yeah. So since people are sitting in front of a screen, listening to lectures and doing all their assignments, like when I was in campus, I did everything handwritten, but still it is a virtual semester. So I do all the typing and stuff, and I do diagrams and other stuff with some softwares in my PC. And relative the screen time is like more compared to the offline version. Like I'm sitting in front of screen for more than 7 hours to doing all my assignments, seeing lectures and referring all other academic stuff and stuff. So students, they have a question in context to this. So yeah, how to increase productivity and decrease screen time in this situation? Like they're asking for other ways to increase their productivity without sitting in front of a screen. So
Oh, that's a great question. I think it's quite applicable to me because I have really thick glasses and very poor vision. So, so and when the pandemic started, I faced the exact same problem. Right, my job used to be one where I used to travel a lot on the field, and meet stakeholders and do real meetings in person. And in 2020, that completely stopped, and 100% of my work became virtual. And my eyesight began deteriorating because of the amount of time I was spending. So I developed a few strategies to combat that. Let me try to list them out. Number one was try to divide your work between what needs to be executed on the device versus what needs to be thought in your head. So, for example, if I need to write a mail to my boss explaining a certain, let's say, a problem and a solution to it, pre-think the problem, try to draw it out on a flowchart on a piece of paper, have the answer clear in your mind, and then open your laptop and start typing the answer. Okay, don't start typing and then changing, editing, typing, editing, changing. No, like most of the thinking that needs to be done for proposing a new idea. Or I'm taking my personal example because I'm working right now, but it's applicable even for students, I believe. That whenever you need to open the device, think about, okay, does this need to be done on the computer, or is it something that I can do by myself? I mean, and if it's the latter, then you can sort of do it on a piece of paper, think it through in your mind, and spend the time very efficiently on the device, either specifically looking up the problem or communicating your issue to the other stakeholders. So that's my first thing I did. The second thing was that I began. There's this rule, I forgot what it was called. I think 20-20-20. After every 20 minutes, take a 20-second break, staring at something 20 feet away from your screen. Right? Where what it means is that like about every 20 minutes, you need to just get off your laptop and just walk around your house. And that really helps. Trust me, that has completely saved me from a lot of my eye strain that I was facing in the beginning of the pandemic. And yeah, and the third thing I would say is, try to get out of the house at least once a day. When I say get out, don't please, especially if you're in Bombay, don't go on the streets, but try to go out on the terrace and just be outside for a while, or just below your building colony. These are the three things that really help me combat the eye strain.
I think Dhruv mentioned almost exactly what I wanted to say about taking breaks, the 20-minute rule. But yeah, on the productivity side, breaks also really help with productivity as well. So you might want to look at what's called the Pomodoro technique, which is basically you work for 20 or 25 minutes straight, and then you take a 5 or 10 minutes break, and then you do your next session. So it would be really helpful if you try a technique like that, and then have your breaks in the middle as well. Yeah, that's from my.
And this doesn't really answer the question. I think both of them covered it. But just something I want to point out, though, is that just to look at the silver lining in all of this, right? I know it looks incredibly difficult right now that you're all stuck with online classes and it might seem very overwhelming. But honestly, you're so much more prepared for, like real life and, getting into the workforce after than we ever were at the end of college. So I really think that's the sort of positive thing out of all of this, because that was a pretty difficult transition for me, going from a classroom environment to any kind of job you go into. There's going to be a lot of laptop time, there's going to be a lot of screen time, and knowing how to manage your device efficiently. And that's something that I had a little bit of a learning curve with when I started work. But I think you guys are kind of overcoming that very early, and you're going to be great at it when you enter and the world is hopefully normal. So, yeah, just something I want to point out.
So this is a final question. So, like, what would be the advice for students from all of the mentors to to manage all the academic stuff and to pursue the scholarship before the prior deadline? So, what would be the final piece of advice from each mentor to the students?
I can go ahead. Have a go at it first. What I would like to say is that it's such a good thing to see. That all of you have just even just registered for this whole process of submitting this essay and taking part in this scholarship. That itself is like a big thing. The whole journey of um, interacting with all the mentors, with your peers, other students, going through such a process of writing such different essays and having this thought of solving important problems itself is a big thing. So I would just urge you to just keep these skill sets that you get through this process always with you, because it definitely always carries over into your profession or career that you're going to take up. Like, for example, just what we just said, things like communication, problem solving, working as a team, all of it is such a it's things that don't come in like a curriculum, or it's not taught in any college or school. So this whole process of applying for the scholarship and writing these essays and coming up with solutions to very important problems at the college and for the society it's a big it's a big learning curve, and it'll definitely help you, especially while you're just starting your journey at college. So I would just that's what I would like to say, and best of luck for the media checkpoint that's coming up, and I'm hoping to see your essays.
Yeah, I can go next. So this is recalling the first and second years of my college life. I remember I took part in minimal activities. I was like super lazy, and I think so were a lot of my friends. And first and second year generally tend to be years where you have lesser load, right? Academic load, coursework, projects, even the club activities are quite less in first and second year. So it's like a fantastic time to do a lot of things and explore, which I think in my time, very few of my friends, only the ones who are really passionate or really sure about what they want to do, they used to do it. And I found that affecting me later in my third and fourth years, because I did not have a lot of the technical skills that some of my other batchmates had, or I did not have some of the projects or some of the contests or the experience or the know-how to exceed in certain kind of internships, which resulted in me losing a lot of opportunities when I was applying for jobs later on. So I think what the JSPF process is trying to do over here is trying to force you in a good way to try out each of these things, right? Whether it's taking part in a technical contest or sharpening your technical skills, writing a project abstract is something I had not done till my fourth year when I was working on my final year thesis. Working on essays, which is something that I only did when I was applying for my colleges in my third year. So by forcing you to think about all of these things right now, I'm just like putting myself in your shoes. I think I would have done much better in college and maybe far better even in my professional life if there was something that had pushed me to do this in my first year. So take it all. I mean, it's not easy. I'm sure that this is a pretty challenging application process for JSPF, but rest assured that it's something that's been very well thought through by a lot of people who have been in your toes in the past, and this is basically built for your sort of self improvement. So I hope you take it in that spirit and give it your best shot.
I think that was very well said, Dhruv. So, it really is great advice. Definitely, kind of make the most of this process. Something I just want to add in terms of advice for all of you guys. Um, Something, especially in the first few years of college, time just flies by. When you look back, you don't know that an entire semester just got over. And if you think about what came out of that semester, you get very confused. That used to happen to me a lot, at least. So somewhere around my fourth semester or so, something I started doing is at the start of each semester, I would try to write down my top three priorities for that semester. Right. And I actually stuck a little piece of paper on my cupboard in the hostel. It would be like, that could be for a semester. It doesn't need to be academics, right? It could be academics for that particular semester. You want to improve your GPA, or it could be, a particular club that you're a part of, where you want to contribute the most to that. Or it could be getting an internship, trying to get a job, finishing off the GRE. Any of these can be your priorities. Or, just being able to have a lot of fun with your friends, going on a lot of trips. I know, wrong time to say that, but in the future, that will be an option for you guys. So I would write down the top three priorities, and every time you feel a conflict in terms of you don't know where your time's going, you feel too busy and overwhelmed, you go back to that priority list to be able to identify what's most important to you in that semester. So very small thing, but really changes your mindset about how you're approaching your time at college. So that would be my parting piece of advice.
It's a really nice one, Shreya. So, for the last tip, I would just say to never hesitate to ask for help, whether it's mentors or seniors, your parents, just anyone you know. And I don't just mean for the JSPF process or your work itself. These are pretty challenging times for everyone. A lot of people are struggling with their mental health as well. So really focus on that, and yeah, don't hesitate to ask someone for help if you want in any way, because yeah, you just never know what might turn up if you just ask for help. A lot of times we hesitate simply because we feel you might feel like a fool or whatever, you feel awkward, which is okay. All of us feel that, and you'll face these situations a lot when you start work as well. So the solution for it is just to do it anyways. Even if you're feeling afraid, awkward, whatever it is, just ask anyways, because the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. And the worst that can happen is you don't get help. People say no. But the best case, you just never know what might turn up. I remember once I got an internship offer simply because I talked to someone at a railway station. Really, I mean, it's actually that random sometimes. So just never hesitate to ask for help or advice, anything. That will be from my side. Yeah.
I guess we're done. Yeah.
Yeah. The mentor IM is like over, so we'll hand up on the mic to the main host, so they'll continue with the breakout rooms. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for having us.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks for having us.
So